It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.
Get ready for the time of your life at Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's newest destination for fun, featuring the world's biggest poolside tailgate party with 3 levels of action, 6 pools, and a 143-foot screen. The fun is always on deck with all the games all year long. Stadium Swim, located in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Book the time of your life today at circalasvegas.com.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by rowpaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Bronco Nation? Welcome on into a live edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. It's a Monday morning, and that means we get Mike Prater with us, KTIK, The Ticket. Great column on Bronco Nation News on Saturday that we'll be talking about during the show as well today. But new week, and Mike Prater, we're now 17 days from Boise State in South Florida. How we doing?
Holy cow, it's going fast.
Oh, my bad.
I got it. Technical computer problems on a Monday, but holy cow, it's happening fast, BG. 17 days? Are you serious? That's crazy talk, but let's get after it today. I know we got a little bit of a camp reprieve, no practice today, but they're going to fire it back up tomorrow, and I cannot wait to get after this week.
Yeah, going to be a fun week. We got Spencer Danielson talking tomorrow because on Thursday they'll wrap up fall camp after the second scrimmage, and I believe maybe do the Table Rock hike or something off site. So we'll have Spencer a little different. We don't get him after the second scrimmage. We get him tomorrow, but there'll still be some updates, even though we just got him last Thursday. But and then they'll kind of have the week 0 next week, and then game week, and obviously that all starts for them on Saturdays. It's kind of their Monday. And their whole camp's off a few days here. They're doing their scrimmages on Thursdays because Thursdays when they play that first game against South Florida. Did you see that the turf, by the way? They had the NFL game the other night, and the turf was all messed up. I know in 2 weeks from now, I'm sure it'll be fine, but they decided to sod the field like the day before an NFL game, and it didn't look very good.
No, I did see that. That is not good. Hopefully they get that thing taken care of, and I don't know what kind of priority a college football game or USF is in terms of getting that grass ready for that stadium. But I did see that. That could be an issue. I guarantee you that Spencer Danielson and his cleat guys are scrambling to stay on top of that, because you certainly don't want to get all the way out there and have those kinds of issues. But it's kind of crazy, and it's the practice schedule must be getting more and more intense because they're closing it down just a little bit more, a little bit less access as they get a little bit more serious. We still got plenty of access, and we're going to be at practice and plenty of press conferences, but it wasn't quite like it was that first week. They're getting serious down there, and I guess that's because of the 17 days, and we're getting just a little bit closer to game day.
Well, speaking of getting serious, Mike Prater, I was out there on Saturday. They were in full pads yet again. And Arthur DeBocci, the true freshman, look at this hit from Saturday, Mike Prater. Full pads. Right here, Arthur DeBocci. I believe this is hopefully the right one. Come on! Mitchell Danielson fired up, true freshman. Look at this one more time. Hits you typically see in Saturday practice. Here momentarily, but full pads and that one-on-one tackling drill that we saw last week, they took it to a little bit of a new level. There were some big hits, and you saw Spencer fired up there. I know, practice, you got to work on tackling. You got to take, have some live periods, but typically it's a lot of just being smart and saving guys. And of course you didn't see, Sire Gaines being the one that they're, roughing up there. It was some true freshman defensive, walk on, just get out there to hold the ball for us while we try to tackle you. But with that said, it was notable. Some of the, some of the hits during that period there, and highlighted by the true freshman there with a big knock.
I think that's our favorite drill of fall camp. And you and I were standing together about 10 days ago. You lose track of days. When we first noticed that drill as one of the first points of emphasis in fall camp, and I think you followed up with a question in a press conference a couple of days later and asked if they had ever done that before. And they said they have dabbled with that drill in the past, but it's certainly more of an emphasis this year, the open field tackling. And I did see your post over the weekend on social media with that hit. Holy cow, what a crazy hit. But I love that drill. I think that's my favorite part of fall camp in terms of just getting out there and doing the one-on-one thing. It works for both sides. That first day we saw it, there was one guy getting tackled kind of right about the thigh and the knee area, and you're like, I don't know if I want that leg flying around like that. So it is a little bit risk. There is a little bit of reward there with that kind of a drill, but I love it, and that's cool to see hits like that.
Yeah, and I've got the full 4-minute video of that up on our YouTube channel, and maybe I'll play some of that as we're talking here. But they did a whole 5-minute period on a Saturday morning in full pads, and there were some boosters out there, some Lyle Smith Society members. There was probably 15, 20 people down there watching that, and it's 9:45 or whatever on a Saturday morning, Mike Prater, and you hear a couple hits like that, you're like, okay, this is how it's going to be today. And I would say that the rest of the practice probably wasn't quite as intense as that first day we saw out there in the full pads, where there was pushing and shoving and stuff. There wasn't as much of that. It was a pretty controlled practice, but I will say that drill in particular, when you get some of those coaches out there and they get them down and they're not necessarily holding anything back. I thought it was a big time drill, and Josh says the tackling drill was embarrassing, and we'll show some more of that. I mean, I know it's a one. I will say this, Mike, it's a one-on-one tackle, and the offensive guy certainly has the advantage in a drill like that. And so, I mean, there's no help. There's nobody else. I mean, you're not expecting the tackle rate to probably be 90% in that drill, but you are focused on just teaching technique and leverage and going for that inside, hip and just the different things that they're trying for. So I get it. And I'll play some of it as we're talking. I understand if people want to look at it and go, oh my gosh, that was terrible. They only tackled them 25% of the time. I don't know if you ask the coach what would the rate be in a drill like that you want to see, but I don't think that they're expecting every guy to make a perfect form tackle in that drill.
No. I mean, what we saw out of DeBocci was rare based on what we saw in terms of that first drill and the couple of other times they've done this drill during camp. So it's mostly advantage the offensive guy. There's no doubt about it. That's why they're trying to make it better. It was definitely an issue last year, the open field tackling, the pursuit to the ball to get yourself into position, to talk a little coach lingo, to have your shoulders squared at point of contact. Those are the kinds of things that you want. And that was one textbook drill, but for the most part, this does favor the offense.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But as I said, Mike, 17 days from the Boise State opener against Florida. And again, this is Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. We're part of the 247 Sports family now. And our Monday show is brought to you by the Blue and Orange Store, online at theblueandorange.store.com. And I may have screwed up, Prater. I'm going to have to talk to you after the show and see if we can sweet talk it. Tomorrow's show is the one at the Hall of Fame there with the Blue and Orange Store in Travis Hawks. And we're juggling some days now with Jay Tuss being out due to his baby being born. But I was originally going to switch you and have you join me at the Blue and Orange Store tomorrow, and then I forgot. So I may need to see if I can bring some cash in my wallet tomorrow morning or something and sweet talk you after the show and help me try to I feel like you owe me at some point for one, but we'll figure something out here maybe. But I don't know what your schedule is tomorrow. Maybe we can put some pressure on Mike on the air here. But either way, we'll have a show tomorrow somewhere. BNN will have a show somehow tomorrow from the Hall of Fame. Travis Hawks is going to join me down there at Boise State, and we'll be doing that tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. at the new Blue and Orange Store at the Hall of Fame. Hoping to have some folks from Boise State stop by and jump on as guests. It's going to be a fun show down there before they get back on the practice field tomorrow morning, Mike. And so we appreciate Travis and the Blue and Orange Store, and hopefully you guys get down there and check that out. The Blue and Orange Store online, the Blue and Orange Store. .com. But I wanted to talk some good today, Mike, but also some bad, or I guess maybe not bad, but just concerns. Nathan Carroll just posted an article this morning at BroncoNationNews.com talking about, how, hey, it has been a lot of very positive things happening. Everybody's in a it's easy to find positives through camp, and this guy's doing great and all that. But since we, didn't have any access yesterday, not having any access today, he kind of took a big picture because this is 2 weeks ago, whatever was the first practice. So we're officially into week 3 now of fall camp. And I guess it's semantics, when you want to say fall camp ends or whatever. But in terms of all the 30 practices or 30 days or whatever, we're almost at the midway point here. That'll be tomorrow, or I guess tomorrow would be, 16 and 17 or whatever it would be. But tomorrow is essentially the midway point of when they first started to when they play a game. Their fall camp technically ends earlier than that because they get into game week. So we're past that. But as we get into week 3 here, Nathan, he put some concerns still out there. 6 things that maybe he hasn't seen enough of yet, or things that have concerned him during camp, or things that we went into camp wanting to have answers, and he doesn't feel that we have answers yet. So we'll get into some of those and see what Mike Prater thinks on some of those, as we move along in the show here. But generally, Mike, as I said, today is officially the start of week 3 of fall camp. They had their Inferno practice yesterday. Hey, I know we're always arguing, complaining about access, Mike Prater, but a Sunday Inferno practice, the fact that they didn't want to open that up to the media, I no complaints from me. I saw some of the pictures that they post. They did post a gallery for the media on the drive there from practice yesterday. And there's some of these hits where you just see splats of water all over in the background of just condensation and just dew and just sweat and just stuff that I need no part of standing on the sidelines on a Sunday morning watching. So they hosed the guys down. They had the heat rays. They had the Inferno practice yesterday. So I'm fine that we didn't see that. But week 3 starting today, they've had the full pads. They've had the Inferno. They're in the thick of things right now. What are just your overall general takeaways with what you've seen at fall camp before we get into some specifics?
Well, first of all, I'm going to have to disagree with you a little bit. I love the Inferno practices, and I'll go back to my favorite saying from Andy Avalos days in Cheating a Sweat. If I can stand without exercising and still lose about 3 pounds, big fat guys like me love the Inferno practice because it's a free practice. It's a free workout. It's free cheating a sweat. And dang it, I lost an opportunity to lose a couple of pounds. Probably sat around on my fat ass all day and gaining weight. So I miss the Inferno practices. I need to talk to Spencer to make sure that those line up with my schedule in the future so I can get a quick little workout in. As for camp itself, I think it's been pretty smooth. And I have not quite yet read Nathan's article as I was getting into town from us.
Surprise you on the fly here.
There are definitely some concerns. I mean, for me, it starts with the kicking game. I'm not sure if he included the kicking game in there or what that priority is, but that's certainly one of them. I got some issues with defensive line rotation, some other things I know we're going to dive into the specifics, but I think it's been a fantastic camp. To me, the storyline of camp has been the development and the consistency, the stacking of practices, the stacking of days of Chris Marshall, who could be a superstar right now, in the connection that he's building with Maddox Madsen. I think it's really strong and really cool to see. You can see that connection brewing and getting better every single day at practice. So I think for the most part, it's been really good. For the most part, it's been injury-free. I think this team went into this camp healthy. I think they're going to come out of this camp fairly healthy so far, knock on wood. But I think it's been a good camp. Let's break down some of the concerns. But I think so far, it's exactly what Spencer Danielson's looking for.
Yeah, no, too much. We got Nathan and Chris, both guys that have degrees from Boise State. Too much homerism going on here for me on this show, Mike Prater. So we got to get into some negative concerns and really bring everybody back to.
Let's do it.
One of my old friends was a columnist for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. He passed away, but was a mentor of mine. He always called it a balloon party, and the rights holder Macarena, he had some funny phrases for stuff like that. But no, in all seriousness, it has been a pretty solid camp. Part of it is, Mike, is, there's only certain things we can report. So they'll let you report when a guy gets a touchdown, but they don't let you report as much when the quarterback makes a terrible pass for a pick, So
exactly,
coverage does look a little more positive at times because that's all that we're allowed to say. And yeah, you'd rather say the guy had a great interception than say who made the pass and who looked horrible throwing the ball. So I understand that, but that is part of the behind the curtains look as to why we don't necessarily have more negative coverage of fall camp, is because we're kind of told what we can say, and a lot of that times they want positive stuff out there. So that part of it is what it is. I understand it, but either you've been out there almost every practice. I've been out there. Nathan, Chris, Johnny, the whole crew, Bob's been out there pretty much every practice, and we've seen some really guys, some guys stepping up. We've seen some really good things, and then we've seen some guys that maybe haven't had the most amazing camp, or areas that still need to be touched up a little bit before we get into that. So kicking game is certainly one of the ones that is on his list. I want to get into that. I did talk to Jarrett Reeser one-on-one on Saturday, who I think when camp started, nobody was really giving him a chance to be the kicker. And I think if the season opened today, he would probably be your kicker, just being flat out honest with you. So, and part of that is that Stacey Collins told us that Colton Boomer was going to be shut down for a few days with a small injury. So I think that's playing into this too. But Reeser, I think is much more in play here than people gave him credit for. You can go watch that full interview at BroncoNationNews.com. Never had talked to the kid before in my life, and had a great 10-minute conversation with him just about his journey to Boise State and trying to win this field goal kicking job. And I came away impressed with Jarrett Reeser. So you can watch that interview at BroncoNationNews.com. We'll get into that and some other concerns that Nathan has, and maybe those match up or don't match up with Mike Prater momentarily. But do want to thank RowPaint.com, our title sponsor. Andy Rowe and Company, whether it's concrete coatings, we've had that done back twice at our old house on our ugly concrete slabs in our garage and our back patio. Whether it's interior, exterior painting, they got you covered. RowPaint.com, ROEPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. Highly recommend it. Support the title sponsor, folks, and that's RowPaint.com. Hey, TacoBellWorks.com, the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family, TacoBellWorks.com. We are excited and thankful for our partnership with Taco Bell. We'll be getting out there soon for a Taco Bell location. They're on Broadway probably for a morning show here coming up. But great food. Actually, it was funny. Mike and my wife was out of town for the weekend. She was just looking at my bank account and checking up from the weekend. And she said, Taco Bell twice? I said, yeah, me and the kids. We had to get out to Taco Bell a couple times. It's easy and it's cheap and it's delicious. Love Taco Bell. So yeah, we made two trips in 4 days to Taco Bell with the boys over the weekend. So SON Management Group, the Nicolason family, we appreciate them. Get more information, TacoBellWorks.com. And now they're celebrating their 50th anniversary at Jackson's. Cheers to 50 years. Score daily deals with Let's Go Rewards. Hopefully you took advantage last week of some of those deals. I think some have carried over early into this week. We're excited to get out, I believe, next week, Mike, and start talking about the trading cards that are coming out and some of the other great stuff going on with Jackson's, and we appreciate them for their support of Bronco Nation News, and that includes the Riley and Ridge Show coming up next Tuesday is the first episode. We're going to have on-site Matt Lauder and Matt Wagner. How about that for the first episode of the Riley and Ridge Show? Matt Lauder and Matt Wagner live at the James coming up next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So come on down next Tuesday at 8 o'clock and get to hang out and meet a couple of Boise State tight ends, Matt Lauder and Matt Wagner, and that is courtesy of Jackson's. And so we're looking forward to that next Tuesday on Bronco Nation News. And do want to thank Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game as well. The SpaTeam.com, locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. The SpaTeam.com, whether it's a sauna, a spa, a pool table, dartboard, they got you covered online at the SpaTeam.com. And Lithia Ford of Boise, their fall kickoff sale is underway. We got some cool collaborations and videos we're going to be sharing from some interviews they did driving around in their vehicles with some of their NIL athletes as well. So Lithia Ford of Boise, you can check them out online at lithiafordboise.com. And it's a perfect time for that new or pre-owned vehicle as they get headed into their fall kickoff sale here at Lithia Ford of Boise, online at lithiafordboise.com. All right, the article is up right now at BroncoNationNews.com. 6 concerns after 2 weeks of Boise State fall camp, and some of these are big concerns. Some of these, Mike, are just, small concerns, but want to highlight, different good and bad things that we see during fall camp. You mentioned the kicking game. It was number 6 on his list, but we can go ahead and just start there since you had it on your list as well. Jarrett Reeser, as I said, I don't think was given much of a chance going into it. And Nathan just says, hey, just, no fans don't want to read this, but I don't have a lot of confidence in the kicking game right now with where we're at this point in camp. And, Boomer has been out injured. We said that. Stacey Collins said that. We can say that. They shut him down for a few days. That was public knowledge. We all pretty much thought he was going to win the job for sure. I'm not sure if he was the leader before he got hurt or if it was close, either way. I'm not sure, for sure that Reeser is going to be the starter, but I would just say that's much more of a competition, and I'm not sure that's in a good way, Mike, than maybe when we thought when camp started.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could look at it two different ways. For me, it's Reeser has probably just done the job that we've expected him to do, maybe just a little bit better. We all knew that he was just kind of, he's kind of right there, and he's never going to really stand out. And they brought in Colton Boomer to be the number one guy, in my opinion. That's why you bring a guy in from Central Florida with his kind of pedigree, despite what kind of season he had last year, only 4 games, and then that ankle surgery was very, very concerning. So for me, I guess I would be even more specific. Not so much the kicking game is of a concern, but Colton Boomer's presence is more of a concern. And I have no idea if his injury is just lingering. I have no idea if it's attached to his previous ankle surgery, and I believe that was on his plant foot, so maybe that's given him a little bit of pesky behavior as they go through so many repetitions in camp. We'll see some more details on that, but for me, the concern would be Colton Boomer hasn't been the kicker or hasn't been available like they expected him to do as the number one kicker. So if Reeser's the guy, I think we all kind of know what we're going to get there. He's not going to be great. He's not a potential Hall of Famer like Jonah Dalmas is. So replacing Jonah Dalmas, even if you brought in somebody great, it's going to be a concern going into the season until you have to prove it. So Colton Boomer, to me, is a main concern right now, the health of his leg. And is Jarrett Reeser competitive enough to be the number one guy, or is it just by default because the other guy didn't make his job done in fall camp? So I'm very curious. To me, it's probably the number 2 concern in fall camp. I know we're going to get to the defensive line here in a little bit, but number 2 for me is the kicking game for sure.
And I will say this about Colton Boomer. I mean, I know there were other circumstances involved, but I know we may have mentioned this. I never remember what day I'm on with what co-host, Mike. But I mean, he was 14 of 15 his freshman season at UCF. Yep. 42 of 43 on extra points. Their last year in the American in 2022, he had a great freshman season, 14 of 15. But since then, the last 2 years, he's only 16 of 27. He's missed 11 field goals the last 2 years, and he only played, in the 4 games last year. So in his last 17 games, he's missed 11 field goals, and even he had that one big game against Boise State where he made the 4 field goals or whatever on the blue and basically single-handedly won that game for UCF against them. But a lot of his other numbers the last 2 years have not been great. So no. I don't know if we oversold Colton Boomer at all, and maybe that's being unfair because we're talking about 2 weeks of fall camp and he's been out a couple of days. But just big picture-wise, and I'm not even saying he's been doing terrible in camp, and that's why I'm not trying to read between the lines. Stacey Collins came out and said last week the kicking game hasn't been where they really wanted to do. He said I think that day we talked to him, he said they had their worst day kicking. And so, both those guys someone's got to win it, but it's kind of, is someone winning it? Or are they both, who's losing it less, Mike? I mean, it's kind of like the quarterback battle at times. You got to have somebody win it, but you hope somebody steps up and takes that. I don't know if we've seen that to this point yet. I mean, there was even another kid they brought in, right? A true freshman we saw kicking one of those days. So
yeah, guy by the name of Caden Moore. He's the last guy. And I was going to bring that point up because you just don't bring a guy in this late in the season for no specific reason. I think it's Caden Moore. I can't remember where he's from. He is a true freshman. He's the last guy to join this roster, literally the last guy on the depth chart. And you bring him in for a reason. Maybe they sat down and had a meeting and said, Boomer's not exactly showing us what we wanted to see. Reeser's just exactly who we thought he was. Maybe we need to bring somebody in. If this Moore kid ends up kicking, then all of a sudden something went completely wrong, and that was a total disaster. So I'm not sure exactly why they brought him in, but maybe it's a small sign that they're not comfortable with the kicking game. And certainly based on what we've seen, you shouldn't be comfortable with the kicking game right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And I don't know how often Boise State fans ever feel super confident. I mean, even a guy like Jonah Dalmas, one of the greatest kickers in school history, in the biggest game of the season, misses 2 against in the Fiesta Bowl that were both misses in that point. So, kicking game, certainly something to watch for Nate Carroll. As and everybody else we're moving forward here. That's one of his 6 concerns. He's got right tackle as a concern, Mike Prater, through 2 weeks of fall camp. We Hall Schmidt, we were told, would be banged up to start fall camp. In the individual periods that we've seen through fall camp, we have not seen Hall Schmidt out there yet, I believe, take part in any of the individual drills. And if you're, an offensive lineman and you haven't really done much of anything at this point in camp, I think that, you're getting to where the time's against you here to maybe be ready to go to start the season, Mike Prater. And that is a guy in Hall Schmidt who, had 725 snaps last season. He does point out that he led the team with 9 penalties and didn't grade out well either, though. So just because he started all those games didn't make him an obvious guy to, he was for sure going to get the job again this year, because some of the numbers didn't say Hall Schmidt played, as good as some of the other linemen, even though he did start all those games. So we knew it was going to be a competition. Daylon Matoyer was a guy that everybody thought could come in, played 235 snaps. And he said that, just some of the stuff he's seen, maybe he's just not sold on him yet either. And obviously there's things in team drills and things that we can't report and say about Mike. So it's kind of vague when you're talking offensive line and what you're seeing. But in his eyes, watching the offensive line through fall camp, right tackle, he said, in fact, I've thought true freshman Jacob Tracy has somehow looked the best. And we know he's not going to be the guy, a true freshman at right tackle, but he brought up Jacob Tracy as a guy who's actually looked good at right tackle. And he's got some more numbers and things in there. And I mean, again, you can read it at BroncoNationNews.com, but right tackle, where are you at right tackle at this point?
Yeah, I'm no more concerns than when the camp started. And when we talked to Spencer Danielson before camp started, he told us that Kyneth, the guard, and Schmidt, the tackle, the right tackle, were going to be limited early on in fall camp. And they didn't tell us why. I don't think either one of them have played. Obviously, Hall Schmidt has been nowhere to be found during the parts that we're supposed to talk about what you said. In terms of Kyneth over there at left guard, I don't think he's been either. So for me, it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all. When he made that announcement, Spencer Danielson, then I had some concerns about the offensive line. Frankly, since he told us that Kyneth and Schmidt were going to be limited in fall camp, I think they've actually done a pretty decent job of kind of fixing my concerns. They had 9 players play last year, 9 players start offensive line positions last year. And I think that they've done a decent job. Cox and Matoyer have done a nice job of building some depth. Some of these other young kids have done a great job of building depth. The Steele brothers, Zach Holmes has done a nice job from the limited times I've seen at center, although he's going to back up Randolph. I am not more concerned with the offensive line than I was going into camp. So I'm going to call that a neutral. I wouldn't call it a concern other than the fact that Schmidt and Kyneth aren't available right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have you seen Kyneth out there at all, or is he kind of in the same spot as Hall Schmidt is as well?
Same spot, maybe even worse in terms of I don't think I don't think I've seen him do anything yet in the individual periods. And you're at the point now where, like I said, if you're an offensive lineman, you probably got to be out there today. I mean, today or tomorrow or pretty soon. I mean, maybe after the second scrimmage, that when you have the 2 full weeks, the 0 week, and maybe if you can be out there full go that day, maybe. But if we're not seeing you in the individual drills and we're 17 days away from the opening game, I would say you're 50-50 at best at this point to be able to play in the first game of the season.
I would 100% agree with that. And they need Cox and they need Kyneth, and they need both these guys to be ready and available. And if they miss a couple of weeks in camp, but they can stick in and play right away, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to go offensive line yet. I'm not going to go right tackle. I'm not going to go left guard.
All right.
Again, I was concerned going into camp, but nothing has changed. As a matter of fact, I think they've done a decent job of building some depth.
I will say I was a little concerned when we heard Spencer Danielson on Thursday, I guess it was, saying that the offensive line is, quote, a little banged up. And again, folks can read into that what they want to. There's only certain things we can show. But if he is saying the offensive line is banged up, I don't know if he's necessarily just talking about those 2 guys. So tomorrow at practice, I think it's going to be a big day to kind of see who's out there and who's doing what, and we'll try to get those videos and see who's doing what in the individual periods and who's not doing stuff. But I mean, and there's all these semantics about what we can say, can't say. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, but I'll just say there's been in the last couple of practices, Mike, that we've been there watching individual drills during the open parts of practice. I think we're okay to say not everyone's been out there from the starting offensive line. So I'll just leave it at that. But there's been, and maybe more than one have not been out there the last couple of practices along the offensive line. So, and when Spencer Danielson says we're banged up along the O-line, you hope it is just banged up. Guys will be, typical camp stuff in their back in a couple days, because you don't want to have to go into South Florida, Mike Prater, with 2 or 3 of your starting offensive linemen out for the first game.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. An offensive line is always a point of contention. It's always injuries filled. There's never no such thing as a healthy offensive line, preseason, postseason, midseason. That's why you have to build the depth, and that's why I'm a little bit encouraged based on some of the depth that they've built. So, yeah, they're beat up, and it's concerning to be beat up going into fall camp. It's concerning to come out of fall camp with your offensive line beat up, and you're 1,000% spot on. If Kyneth or Schmidt aren't available here in the next couple of days, yeah, you really have to worry about their status for the opener against South Florida.
All right, how about the secondary and the depth in particular in the secondary, Mike Prater? Where are you at with the depth of the secondary? Nathan Carroll has some small concerns there in terms of he says, where I have serious concerns are in the two deep, particularly at corner and safety. Devon Banks last year as a backup corner played 416 snaps, 416 as a backup corner. He has moved to nickel, and that has left a pretty clear, obvious void for that third cornerback spot, Mike Prater, behind McCoy and Irby, that very next spot. If somebody were to get injured or whatever else, I mean, you had Banks waiting, and they can always move a Banks or a Mickey back, I guess. They said they could do that if they have to. But in terms of that rotation there at corner and then that next safety, he said there's some intriguing guys, but he does. No one's really necessarily stepped up, at least to his eyes, at practice in terms of being ready. Franklin Johnson Jr. is a guy, and the JUCO transfer Sherrod Smith. Both got some mentions from Danielson after the scrimmage on Thursday. And Franklin Johnson Jr. has some upside, but Mike, he's played just 23 defensive snaps in his career to this point. They brought in Derek Ganter Jr. for safety. But he mentioned that to him, at least, it looks like he's had a little bit of a slow start to camp coming on. But Jalen Webb also is a JUCO transfer that come on off a strong spring, but hasn't popped yet, maybe to him. True freshman Arthur DeBochi, we showed him in that clip. But if he's your guy, a true freshman playing, 500 snaps or something, that would be, pretty not say much for the other guys. So he said, regardless of who wins the reps going into week one, I'm not sold on the depth of the secondary being a strength. Yeah, so maybe there's guys there, but he's not sure the depth is a strength of this team yet. Where are you with the depth of the secondary?
Yeah, it's not a strength. There's no doubt about that. I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, we knew that. It was a concern going in, and I actually think that they've done a fantastic job in fall camp in terms of building that depth, almost kind of like the offensive line. And there's 5 positions with the 2 cornerbacks and the 3 safety positions when you throw in the nickel. On my seating chart, I've got 9 dudes that can play those 5 positions, and I didn't have 9 dudes when camp started. So Mickey has done a fantastic job of being relevant and making himself stand out in camp. Same with Derek Ganter Jr. over there at the boundary safety spot, where he's going to take over or back up Washington as we sit here right now. So I think that those 2 guys came into camp with some buzz, and I think they've lived up to that buzz, and I think that that's pretty darn cool. We've been sitting around talking about Franklin Johnson for a long time, guys. And I remember going back to last year, early on in last year's spring camp. So almost 3 camps ago. And one of the first 2 days, I asked Spencer Danielson, who's the fastest guy in this team? And he said, Franklin Johnson Jr. He just has to learn how to be a better football player. And I think he's done a really, really good job of taking advantage of that speed and becoming a better football player. Sherrod Smith, you just mentioned, the junior college kid, has stood out. And anytime he gets mentioned from coaches, I'm going to put him in some depth. So I think that those 2 dudes, Johnson and Smith, have done a nice job backing up Irby and McCoy. And yeah, there needs to be some dependable depth, and that was a concern going into fall camp. But I think that they've built that up. So 9 dudes, and some of those guys are interchangeable for 5 positions. I don't think that that's a concern at all. It was a concern going in, but I think they've done a fantastic job of building the depth. And the Ganter kid and the Mickey kid give me lots of optimism going into this football season.
I tend to agree with you on some of that, but again, it's all, what a guy does in a couple practices with my untrained eye is not the same as getting thrown out there to cover a guy against South Florida. So if needed, or
fair, 100% fair, yeah.
So I tend to agree with you, though. That's not a super area concern for me, but that's why I like having you and Nathan and Chris and different opinions and different people. I mean, that's what it is, an opinion, and we can all disagree and have things. And I love someone else's, I may be finding something that I'm not seeing, or vice versa. That's 3 concerns. We got 3 more, Mike Prater, that I want to get to momentarily here, but do want to thank Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Congrats to Bauscher and our man Connor Johnstone. What was that? Which tournament was that they won there, Mike?
I believe it was the McCall Am or one of the big tournaments up in McCall. So I saw that over the weekend. Nicely done, fellas.
Yeah. Hope that came with a nice. We know Boucher needs it. I hope it came with a big cash prize there. Matt Boucher and Connor Johnstone teaming up to win the golf tournament up there in McCall over the weekend. So congrats to them. But Boucher Real Estate, online, BoucherRealEstate.com, number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley, Rains family. We bought and sold our home using Matt and Kelly and the whole team there, and it was a tremendous job. So check them out online, BoucherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, you can check them out at shopridleys.com. 13 locations in the state of Idaho, Treasure Valley, Magic Valley, McCall, all over the state, even in other states around the area as well. So love that Kuna location, Star, Middleton. So if you're in the area, check out Ridley's Family Markets. Find a location near you online, shopridleys.com, and download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line at Ridley's Family Markets. Hey, transcompservice.com. You want to get into the trucking industry? You need a job? Maybe you never thought of the trucking industry. It's booming right now. So check it out online, transportation compliance service, transcompservice.com. They can help you every step of the way. Get into the trucking industry online, transcompservice.com. You want to leave us a voicemail? Speakpipe.com/BNN. Anything you like, don't like, something you disagree with that I said, Prater said, whoever, let us know. Speakpipe.com/BNN. It's easy to leave us a voicemail. We'll be firing that up for the post-game shows here moving forward. And that's brought to you by Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades. Online at mysignatureroofing.com. And that's whether a re-roof or repair, an estimate, and inspection, online at mysignatureroofing.com. Mike Prater, I am 9 days away from heading back down to Circa Resort and Casino for their Ultimate Contest weekend. Next Thursday and Friday, we'll be broadcasting shows. Brad Bedell and myself live from Radio Row there at the Ultimate Contest weekend. And they're giving away $21 million in guaranteed prizes, $15 million for Survivor, $6 million for the Millions contest. And we would love to have you join us next week. If you can get a last-minute trip down to Vegas, we'll be down there next weekend or next, Thursday to Saturday, 21st to 23rd. There's a blackjack tournament. There's open bar events. There's all kinds of cool stuff. You get 50% off your room if you come down there and join us. So let us know if you want to get some buddies together and pool some money. And it's a $1,000 entry fee, but if you get 3 or 4 buddies, which is what I usually do, it's only $250, $300, however you split the pie up. And if you cannot make it down there, I've had 3 or 4 people reach out. I'm taking maybe the most cash I've ever taken down to Vegas, Mike Prater, to sign up some folks for this contest. So if you're interested in signing up, but you can't make it down to Vegas, we can help sign you up. It is 100% legal to do this contest. You just have to sign up in Nevada, but you can play from anywhere in the world using our proxy, Tom Caro. So we'll get you set up with Tom, and you'll be able to join the Circa Sports and Millions contest. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's Circa Resort and Casino. Join us for the Ultimate Contest weekend next weekend, and we'll get you signed up as well. All right, we continue on with the concerns here, Mike Prater, and he's got backup quarterback on there. He's still not sold on the backup quarterbacks. I know that's always a concern. That was a concern coming into camp. And for him, nothing has really changed there. Max Cutforth maybe has even pulled ahead. We heard Spencer Danielson say he played better in scrimmage 1 right after the scrimmage, and he outplayed. I think he used the word outplayed Caden Annette in scrimmage number 1. I think we all thought that after the spring, it was pretty much writing on the wall that it was going to be Caden Annette being that backup quarterback. And all Spencer said was he played better in that scrimmage. But I do think that still is telling when you talk about where the quarterback backup race is. And where are you? I mean, we've talked about this in the last couple of years. They've had a Maddox Madsen waiting in the wings. They've had a Talon Green. They've had Malachi Nelson. Some of these battles where you felt pretty good about whoever the second guy was. Have you seen anything? I mean, that was a pretty big concern for me going into camp. Have you seen anything to ease the concerns that I should have or anybody else has from the backup quarterback spot?
Well, the competition's pretty intense, and that's pretty good. Yeah, the quarterback position period is a it's a concern, QB1 and QB2. I mean, Maddox Madsen is going into a prove-it season, and those are never comfortable going into the season. I have full confidence that Maddox Madsen is going to be just fine, but can he be the guy that can take the next step and really dominate that position for this football team? And that's expected. That's what's expected of Maddox Madsen. The backup quarterback, yeah, it's a major concern, but I've been very encouraged by what I've seen, and I'm kind of repeating myself based on what I said about the offensive line position and the defensive back position. I love the competition. You're right. We came out of spring ball and Annette was the guy. Now we're into fall camp and Cutforth. More than just that one scrimmage, more than just that one comment from Spencer Danielson, what you and I are seeing in camp, I think Cutforth is a 60-40 better than a Nets. So I love the fact that it's back and forth. I love the fact that these two dudes are getting better. I love the fact that they're competing like crazy, and it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I think that's a good sign. So Maddox Madsen is always going to be a little bit of a concern, and if Maddox Madsen gets hurt, that's going to be a massive concern. But that was a massive concern going into this fall camp. That hasn't changed. I think it's gotten a little bit better just based on the fact that these two dudes are competing like crazy. And if they have to go in and play, yeah, is there going to be a massive drop-off? Absolutely there is. But we knew that going in, and nothing. You're not going to snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're going to have a proven QB2. That just doesn't happen. That happens like in October or November in the fourth quarter of an important game when you need him. And then you just kind of cross your fingers and hope that it works out. So I love the competition. I'm going to cross that one off my list as well. That is not a concern for me, other than the fact that the quarterback position as a whole has been a concern going into this entire season.
All right, one more I wanted to hit on real quick, Mike Prater, is the depth of the pass rush. You mentioned the interior line there is something you were looking at, but the pass rush and the depth there, he said, hey, feel pretty good about the starters, Jaden Virgin Morgan, Max Steege, Braxton Feely on the interior, and that's going to be a strength again. But he said, what if one of those guys gets hurt or needs a series off? He says, I have serious concerns. While the interior defensive line looks like a strength with David Latu, Deion Washington, and Lopez Sanusi, all of those are run defending nose tackle type guys on the more on the run stopping side of things. So he's talking about the pass rush. He said Latu and Sanusi have 0 career pressures. Washington has just 36 career pressures and 5 sacks in his 5-6 year career with only a 6.5% pressure rate. And so he said, basically if Feely subs out, he's dubious they're going to get much of a pressure up the middle in the passing game with what he's seen so far. He does say Malachi Williams from Idaho has some confidence in him. And then Sterling Lane has gotten some nice, comments from Spencer Danielson as well. But he's been playing mostly behind Bol, a true freshman, which we're hearing a lot of things about Bol, which is great. But if you're hearing a lot of things about a true freshman, you're maybe not hearing things about a lot of the other guys, and that's maybe not necessarily a positive, according to Nathan. So where are you with the D-line, the depth of the D-line, interior, exterior, but in particular, the pass rush?
Yeah, the entire thing is my number one concern right now, and the article for me is spot on in terms of the details. I'm very concerned about the defensive line. I'm concerned across the board. I'm concerned about the opposite. I'm concerned about Max Steege coming through and being a Robin to a Batman, and Jaden Virgin Morgan. Those two are going to have to work well together, and Steege is going to have to take some of the pressure off of JVM. It's a great point in terms of some of the interior guys. You're either going to have to get some kind of a bull rush and get after the quarterback a little bit, or be the run stopper like the Newtons and the Gums from last year. Those guys were very, very invaluable, and those were big-time losses. So the interior part of this defensive line scares me. And if you want to treat defensive lines like hockey lines and you want 3 or 4 in a rotation, I don't think they're even close to that right now. I'm not sure they can give me a two-line rotation, maybe 3 at the most, certainly not 4. This is a massive concern for me. Now, they're going to have to get tricky with the quarterback sacks. They're not going to get 55 and lead the nation like they did last year, but if you can bring some dudes off the outside like the Devon Banks and some of these others, that's probably where you're going to start to get more of your pressure. But your defensive line certainly has to be able to contribute to that. I think the defensive line is a major, major concern. A couple of the names have been thrown out that have been making some noise in camp. I don't hear it consistently enough from the same guys, whether it's coming from Spencer Danielson or our very eyes. So yeah, I'm very concerned about the defensive line for many, many different reasons right now.
Mike Prater, we got the $5 sale going on at BroncoNationNews.com. $5 a month, $60 for a full year. That's half off the regular price. You're getting a 50% discount right now for fall camp, and that discount is going to keep getting lower. I don't know if folks have noticed, but we started at 75. It went to 60. Now it's 50. The discount's going to keep getting lower and lower. Jump in now, BroncoNationNews.com. Full coverage of fall camp. We got 3, 4, 5 people at every practice giving their observations in the VIP message boards and providing content and analysis from Nathan with some of the numbers and things like that. And if you are a paying subscriber, you can read Mike Prater's column. Mike, don't give it all away, but as we kind of wrap this up, tease the column that you've got up at BroncoNationNews.com. I loved the headline. I loved the first 2 lines of the sentence. Sire Gaines is a mystery. 3, Malik Sherrod is a menace. And then you said, welcome to LAJ, life after Genty, and the unexpected tale of 2 Californian kids who somehow ended up in the same Boise State running back room. And you kind of look at Gaines and Sherrod and how they're 2 completely different guys on the field, off the field, but together they're trying to replace Genty and do what this offense needs. And I thought it was a great column, and folks can go pay and read that right now at BroncoNationNews.com.
What a fascinating story that these 2 guys are having, and what a fascinating camp. And I absolutely love the back and forth here. You couldn't find 2 more different people in terms of these guys. And I talked about one's on a mission from God. He's kind of a man child, and one's kind of a wild child who's just on a mission to go out and have some fun and close out his college football career and maybe never get the chance to play football again. So, I'm not sure Malik Sherrod's a pro football guy, so he knows that this is his last season, and he's really fun. He's not afraid to open his mouth. He's not afraid to poke the bear. I kind of described him as a fly in the ointment, but I don't want to go that strong because he's been proven to be a very loyal Bronco and a very loyal teammate, but he does it in a distinct way that's kind of charming, pushes the buttons, and I think it's really, really fun. He's really, really good. He's been a standout in camp. Sire Gaines has finally got his traction. I think it's going to be really, really fun. I hope these 2 dudes stay healthy all season long, and we get this Sire and Sherrod show because that's been a lot of fun to watch so far.
Again, BroncoNationNews.com. You can sign up today. We're part of the all-new 247 Sports. We've had tremendous response so far, and we appreciate everyone that has made the switch. But if you're on the fence, you want to read Prater's weekly columns and all of our great coverage, 50% off right now, and that's just $5 a month when you subscribe at BroncoNationNews.com. I mentioned Prater 17 days from the opener. That's 17 days from joining us at Uncle Bob's Pizza in Meridian for the BNN watch party. Michael Callahan's going to be there. Nathan is going to be there. Chris is going to be there. They're going to hang out, watch the game with you. We're going to have all kinds of raffles and giveaways and gift cards. And if you're a paid subscriber, I think we're going to buy you a beer if you show us that you're a paid subscriber, Mike Prater. So I know it's a 3:30 start for that South Florida game in 17 days, but make plans now. Get off work early. Join BNN at Uncle Bob's Pizza in Meridian for the season opener. I know you guys are going to have a post-game show for that, Mike Prater. We're going to have a post-game show coming from Uncle Bob's as well with those guys. So going to be a lot of fun. Hope folks will join us. And I know 17 days feels, Mike, like a lot, but it kind of hits you when you look at it. You're like, wow, 2 weeks from Thursday, which means a week from Thursday we're into game week. And just you keep working the calendar back. It's really not that far away.
No, it's kind of exciting. It's kind of scary. It's kind of intimidating that it's happening this fast. So they opened up camp for the first time ever in the month of July, and we're just a third of the way into the month of July, and already I think it's really cool, and it is going to happen fast. And I can't imagine what it's like for that football team, especially for Spencer Danielson. He'd probably rather have 2 months to get this football team ready, but 17 days is going to happen fast. Before we know it, it's going to be kickoff, and I cannot wait for that to happen.
And as you said, Mike, no practice today, or at least no media availability today. And so we'll be back watching practice tomorrow. But I know there was a lot of NFL preseason over the weekend. Kellen Moore's debut. I know you guys today on Idaho Sports Talk 3 to 6 with you, Johnny, the whole crew, Bob, everybody's going to be there. Greg, I know it's a Monday edition, so you're going to have a lot going on. And I know a lot Boise State talk, but a lot of NFL alumni from Boise State over the weekend involved as well.
Yeah, 17 dudes in the NFL, not counting Kellen Moore, but 17 players from Boise State in the NFL, and most of those guys got on the practice or on the scrimmage field or the preseason game field. Certainly over this past weekend, we'll kind of go over the highs and the lows and who won the weekend and who lost the weekend. Some guys stood out, some guys didn't. Some guys are, like Avery Williams. I'm still fascinated by the fact that this guy's been converted now into a wide receiver. But he got some serious work in as a returner over the weekend. So we'll talk about all 17 of these dudes and kind of where they stand right now and what they mean. And I'll also break down a little bit of Kellen Moore. His quarterback battle, Shuck came in and had a pretty good preseason game when everybody thought maybe Rattler was the guy based on practices. So the drama continues with Kellen Moore and his quarterback room in New Orleans.
Well, you got 5 hours and 9 minutes till they take the air for Idaho Sports Talk. That's plenty of time to go subscribe at BroncoNationNews.com. We hope you do that. You can read Prater's column, Nathan's analysis. We got another recruit commit that Chris chatted with over the weekend, so I'll have another update on one of them coming later tonight or tomorrow as well. So tons of coverage at Bronco Nation News. Excited for the season. I'm already making plans, Mike, for the pregame show and some of the folks were telling me about this Starlink internet, and I think I'm going to bite the bullet on it, or at least give it a try and borrow one from a friend. I think the South Florida game on the field, we're going to have all kinds of new stuff we haven't done before. I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to get down to Florida for the opener, and every day is one day closer. So 3 to 6, make sure you're listening to Prater and the crew. They'll have you covered with Boise State, NFL, all kinds of talk. And then tomorrow morning, somebody will join me. I'll be at the Hall of Fame at 9 a.m. And we'll have the Blue and Orange store right there. We're excited for that. And then we'll be on the practice field Tuesday to watch practice. So we'll have all kinds of coverage tomorrow coming. But start your week off 3 o'clock today, or keep it going, I guess, with Prater and the crew on Idaho Sports Talk. So, Mike, appreciate you. Fun show, and always a pleasure.
Likewise. And you know what? We can, since you brought it up right here on the air and you kind of backed me into a corner right here on the air, I could probably do tomorrow's show. I won't do it for you, but I could probably do it for our good friend Travis Hawks. So if Travis Hawks is doing a show, and I think this is like our 3rd or 4th year, we've actually got together in August to do a little show with our boy Travis Hawks from the Blue and Orange store. So if you need somebody to fill in tomorrow, especially if it's Jay, because Jay's on baby duty, I'm all about that. That's a good thing. I'd be proud to fill in for Jay if he's on baby duty, and for Travis Hawks. I won't do it for you, BJ, but let's make it happen tomorrow.
That's code for Prater just looked at his phone and saw the Venmo went through. So he's I
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you saying that. And I screwed up and didn't do this ahead of time, and we were going to do it tomorrow. But if you're able to do it, that's great. And I think we're going to have some folks from Boise State stop by, and Travis, and should be a fun 45 minutes before we head out to practice. So, and you'll be inside and you can sit down. So you'll have air conditioning and it'll be good to go tomorrow. So thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, just what people want, back-to-back days of Mike Prater here on BNN. So
that's brutal.
No, I think we just sold 10 more subscriptions. So appreciate you, Mike. Thanks a lot. We'll be listening at 3 o'clock today. And then, you can you'll now see me and Mike tomorrow down at the Hall of Fame at Boise State at 9 a.m. So have a great day, everybody. Appreciate it. 3 o'clock, Idaho Sports Talk. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. We'll talk to you guys later. This has been BNN, a presentation of RowPaint.com, our title sponsor. Thanks to Andy Rowe and Company. And I hope you guys go check out the site. Go subscribe. We'll see you in the message boards chatting. Might even see Mike Prater in the message boards. Never know. And we'll see you at 3 o'clock for Idaho Sports Talk. Take care, everybody.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with a room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.